Kia ora, hello and bonjour to our viewers across Caledonia and New Zealand. I'm Philip Duncan. We're tracking Tropical Cyclone Ruby, which is now making landfall in New Caledonia. This is it right here. Look at all the other lows though coming down that are connected to it. That is the reason why New Zealand is also getting some interesting weather at the moment, with some very heavy rain and flooding risks across both islands, not just the North Island, but even into the South Island potentially as well. But the main focus for Tuesday, tropical wise, will be Ruby. This storm, at the time we recorded it, was Category 2. It'll be going up to Category 3, we expect, at some point today. That's what the Fiji Met Service is saying. And they're now responsible for this storm. It was the Australians. Now it's moved over to the Fiji side. So their updating shows it currently, when we recorded this on Tuesday morning, at Category 2, but it could get to 3. Now there's not a lot of difference between a strong Category 2 and a lower end Category 3. Either way, the storm is here and is making basically a direct hit around this northern side and into the Loyalty Islands. Noumea, potentially just on the outer edges of the worst winds, but I gotta say, these storms can jog around a little bit by 50 kilometers here and there, and if it drops a little further south, that changes things for Noumea, so still one to watch. Over 200 millimeters coming for some parts of the northern coastline of Caledonia today. Then that rain should ease quite quickly. Behind it, you can see the dark blue there actually means very little rain. So from very little to a massive amount, that's the track though of Ruby as it moves through over the next day or so. So the long range tracking does still continue to show Ruby out at sea and not making a direct hit into New Zealand, but this is really important to remember. The cyclone itself probably won't directly hit New Zealand, but we're already being impacted by the rain. Not directly from the storm, but connecting up to it. This is today's rainfall map at lunchtime Tuesday. There's the cyclone right over the middle of Caledonia, and then connecting up with another low, and another low. So those low pressure zones are taking energy away from that cyclone, in particular rain. That's why we're seeing this atmospheric river, all this rain coming out of the tropics. We saw flooding in Manawatu last night, and we're going to be seeing more rain as that pushes down into the South Island, and then this secondary low comes in tonight. And that brings a burst of more rain, or later today even, and strong winds into places like Northland and Auckland as we go in towards tonight. Might even be some coastal gales. Now we've got a bit of rain moving down the country at the moment. This is the first burst coming down into the South Island, and at the top, that's the next burst coming in tonight. You can track the Met Service rain radar now live on the Weather Watch app and on our website. And speaking of Met Service, their warnings, they're making more of them at the moment as we start to lock in which areas are getting rain. So there are warnings and watches out. You can get all of them live from the Weather Watch website. So let's take a look at the forecast now. As we get into Wednesday, those three lows of the Tasman Sea are now consolidating into one big area of low pressure. It does have three centers to it still, but this is all becoming one big giant low. Then you've got the cyclone up here, still powerful, but now leaving New Caledonia, leaving Vanuatu, and it will gradually start to fall apart. But this low is still taking energy from it. That's why we're seeing heavy rain, in particular around Bay of Plenty and East Cape. That will most likely see the biggest rainfall totals from this event in New Zealand, with 150 to 200 millimeters possible in that area. Now we're also seeing rain come down and into Canterbury. That might look a little similar to the Ashburton floods earlier this year. There is a big difference though. This is not going to be lingering as long, and it's not quite as focused on Canterbury as it is for the North Island. So once we get through to Thursday, it's now southerly in Canterbury. It's not that easterly still coming at it from the tropics. The tropical portion gets pushed right out to sea. This is it here, curving around and into that low, which is, by the way, deepening. So that's the reason why we're going to see a little burst of wind around Banks Peninsula, some southerlies kicking in there. That'll move into Wellington with some further wet weather. But for those in the north, the best news I can give you is that humidity eases on Thursday. Finally, you've got a westerly. It's been weeks of humid weather and easterlies and northerlies. That does change finally coming up later on this week on Thursday, and then that's where the cyclone is. By Friday, the cyclone's gone. That's the leftovers of it, being caught up in this big area of low pressure. And even though that low has absorbed three other lows and a tropical cyclone, the center of it is very calm. Why is that? because a tropical cyclone, the scent is really damaging. And that's because a tropical cyclone's got warm air at the middle of it that makes it spin very fast. This has got cold air, it spreads out. And so the strongest winds tend to be halfway between the center of the low and wherever the next high is. So that's why it changes a lot as we head in towards the end of the week. And in the New Zealand area, sou'westers and showers. Temperatures are down, humidity in the north is down. You might finally get to sleep properly without having to have fans and windows and air conditioning and all that stuff. And as we go into the weekend, more sou'westers continue around New Zealand, so it will be a little cooler for nighttime and fairly pleasant during the afternoon for many northern areas and probably eastern areas as well. There's a big high out of Australia and a burst of hot weather coming for them. We've also got this low up here. Now, we don't expect this to become a major problem. It technically might become a tropical storm, but it's likely to then fall apart because when you look at the next map, the air pressure jumps up significantly and this high pressure belt very much in control. So a bit of a messy weather pattern going on. One positive, if you like heat, there's another burst of heat coming out of Australia. It'll be coming into New Zealand this weekend with a much more settled weekend coming up. So that is the forecast. Certainly a lot of moving parts. Hopefully it makes sense to you. To try and drill down deeper with the rainfall estimates for New Zealand, please use ruralweather.co.nz. It's got the most accurate rainfall data in New Zealand. It's not perfect, but it's a really helpful guide. And by the way, the 3 Ds today: drizzle patches, dry spells, downpours. So even if your forecast says rain all day, just remember there probably will be some dry spells and some drizzly spells in there as well. But some intense downpours could mean there's some localised flooding in both main islands of New Zealand as well. But for the viewers in Nouvelle Caledonia, please take care today. It's an indoors day, stay safe. Hopefully the storm passes quite quickly, but it is a significant storm for New Caledonia for today, Tuesday. And that's all from me. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday, with our next video update.